What is up, people of the internet? My name is Freelancer Ember, and it's that time once again for another RWBY Pokemon pairing video. Now that RWBY Volume 7 is over and Pokemon Sword and Shield have been out for months, I have once again brought in that Kaito Dan for this bonus video.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the voice behind that Kaito Dan, and like Amber said, the two of us are finally here with another round of Pokemon matchups with the colourful cast of RWBY that we promised during our initial collaboration, which you can check out in the description down below or the links provided in the card above.
For a quick summary, each character will have up to 1 to 3 Pokemon based on each character's personality, fighting styles, color schemes, and more after looking at compatible Pokemon with fitting physical details, skills, and Pokedex entries. But in this video, we will have some additions to most of the characters we talked about in our previous videos, as well as characters from the most recent volume.
Some of these are classics that we missed out on last time due to our maximum of 3 limit and more fitting options, or are Pokemon from jolly old Galar that we weren't able to use as the game was still relatively fresh at that time. We are still following our rules from the previous parts as well, just so things don't get crazy. This means no repeat picks, regional variants are allowed, no mythical, legendary or ultra beasts with some special exceptions, and just for those who are curious, we won't be including Kubfu, Urshifu, Calyrex, or the new regional Regis and Birds as they've yet to be released in the upcoming DLC. Or by the time this video comes out, they are, but screw it, we've already done the planning, so you can't help us there.
So with all that out of the way, let's return to the world of Pokemon, starting with the first of new additions for our returning characters team. In the original lineup, we gave RWBY a Growlithe to represent her faithful canine companion, Zwei, as that was the best option we had for the family Fido. But as luck would have it, the Galar region finally gave us our first ever Corgi Pokemon, Yamper. After all, the Queen of England is quite fond of that particular breed herself, so it only seems fitting we give RWBY her own Corgi companion this time out.
Switching to the B team captain now, we have Jean-Arc, who we previously gave an Aegis/2 to represent his trademark Crocea Moors Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield.
Hey, I'm the pun guy here, not you. Anyway, while the weaponry isn't the exact same as those wielded by Vomit Boy, there is a Pokemon in the Galar region who has gained legendary status with his own combination of offense and defense, the gallant wild duck, Sir-Fetched.
From the noble knight to queen of the castle, we leave Galar for the moment to return to the sunny shores of Alola as we resist finally giving Nora the super cute and super psychic Alolan Raichu, a Pokemon who may rival her in terms of loving pancakes a ton.
Meanwhile, her partner, Ren, can travel together with her alongside another new addition from Galar, the silent psychic Hatterene, who not only shares Ren's soft-spoken nature, but also has many notable powers related to other people's emotions, just like Ren's semblance, except, not as violent.
Now in a previous collab, we didn't give the two coffee boys, Fox and Yatsuhashi, a full team as we were only recently starting to explore more of them in the After the Fall book. But now with a bit more insight on what these two are like, it's time to amend that, starting with the blind badass, Fox, who, for starters, finally gets a Gallade to fit his weaponry after we gave one to Ren last time. And to tie into the Vacuo lad's accessibility, dialogue, assistant, or ADA for short, to help him sense his surroundings, and his newly revealed telepathy semblance. He also gets the sensory Pokemon Noivern, who uses its ultrasonic waves to not only sense the surrounding environment, but for combat usage, such as crushing boulders.
Then for Yatsu, a lot of you guys in the past video actually paired him up a lot with the equally big and armored Tyranitar, so we felt it's only fair that we answer your wishes and put the two mountainous giants together, as well as give him a Pokemon that can embody the big boy's incredible ability to manipulate a person's memory with just a simple touch. So we looked to the Pokedex entries to find a Pokemon with a similar power to alter a person's memory, which led us to Behaeum. 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 Behaeum?
Behaeum.
Gesundheit.
Going from students to teachers, we have the long absent but still fondly remembered Glinda Goodwitch, who, as the deputy headmistress, acted as Ozpin's right-hand woman, supporting him in his affairs, kind of like how a maid supports their master, which is why we chose the equally psychic female Indeedee, as to quote from its shield entry, "They diligently serve people and Pokemon so they can gather feelings of gratitude. The females are particularly good at babysitting." Sounds like how she mentored her students, albeit, shall we say, a firm hand.
And a slap on the wrist.
Now, since I'm the resident Brit of this video, I think it's only right that I'm the one to talk about a pairing between a RWBY character with the Pokemon based on Britain's most well-known beverage, a good old cup of tea, even though I myself don't drink it. But regardless, me and Amber actually had a bit of back and forth over who should have a Poltergeist. Ozpin, who is often seen having a warm drink in his office, Blake, who in Volume 3 mentions that she prefers tea over coffee, and the one that we eventually gave it to, Professor...
Doctor!
Right. Dr. Oobleck. I mean, come on, the guy drinks more of it than Crow used to drink, period. And his weapon is a goddamn thermos.
Moving on, we have the MVP of Volume 7, General, goddammit could use a shave, Ironwood. Now in the previous collab, we gave the General an assortment of mech-sized Pokemon akin to his massive robotic army. So why not add one more? And let's bend our no mythical or legendary rule once again to give the stalwart General, the Titanium Titan, Melmetal, who is also a wrecking machine with its metal limbs. I mean, come on, if Ash can get one, why not James? Not that, James!
Meanwhile, another highlight from Volume 7 was the return of our favourite robo-girl, Penny. She made her grand return with a somewhat older look this time out, so we thought to represent Penny growing up somewhat and evolving into the protector that she was meant to be, we'd evolved the type null that we gave her in the last video into its true form, Silvally, the Pokemon with incredible power freed from its bindings. And speaking of the last video, we had Crow's badass scythe, Harbinger, represented by the swift steel bird, Skarmory. But another fitting option could be Scizor, who trades speed for strength with its metallic weaponry, which could link with RWBY's Cypher, akin to the pair's close bond.
Volume 7 also gave us another addition to Neo's disguise wardrobe with her posing as a Schnee maid. And if we were able to in the first videos, maybe we could say this ice cream killer could serve up the equally sweet Alcremie, preferably a RWBY Swirl variant, as it's the closest we could get to Neo's trademark colors. But wait, there's more! We also felt it was super fitting to give Neo, the Galar region's Pikachu clone, Morpeko, which, much like the cute Mute, can look adorable one moment and dangerous the next.
Now let's look back at Neo's former partner in crime, Mr. Roman Torchwick. Before he became Grimchow and before Cinder came along, Roman was the master criminal ruling the streets of Vale. So what better Pokemon to give a top tier thief than a Pokemon with thief literally in the name, Thievul. Note that we went for Thievul though, and not the other tricky fox. No, not you. Swiper, no swiping! Oh man! That's because we wanted to play off the little rivalry between Roman and the other trickster pickpocket, Emerald, by giving her the more youthful critter, Nickit, to match her age and experience.
Then we have the one who brought Emerald into the villainous faction in the first place, the fiery femme fatale, Cinderfall. This vindictive vixen just can't seem to stay down thanks to her never-ending lust for power, almighty maiden power, and her deadly grim arm, which ties into her receiving a Centiskorch, harkening back to the Grim Beetle which helps Cinder gain the Fall Maiden powers, and may also be a fixture to Cinder's Dark Limb, which she attained from Salem. Speaking of the Wicked Witch, Salem gets a new Pokemon too in the form of Shiny Cursula, the unfortunate tragic representation of polluted life thanks to poisonous otherworldly energy. Sounds like how Salem got corrupted by the Grim Slime, huh?
Well, that's depressing. Speaking of depressing, who wants to talk about murders? That's right, next up, it's our favourite homicidal maniac, Tyrion Kalos. Now, the world of Pokemon is pretty PG, unless you're talking about the Pokemon Adventures manga, or heck, even the Electric Tale of Pikachu. Yeesh. But yeah, not much we could say is fitting for a mass murderer. But then comes Impidimp, Morgrim, and Grimmsnarl, a trio of devilish dark fairy types that look like a fusion of the Grimm and the band Gorillaz. I mean, several of their Pokédex entries mention their loves for tricks, manipulation, and snaring its prey, which sounds right up the alley for RWBY's resident crazed hunter.
Then we have the brains to Tyrion's brutality, Arthur Watts. The Mad Doctor made his grand return home in the last volume alongside his twisted ally. But in the world of Pokemon, we think he'd be fond of two of Galar's newest high-tech beasties, Duraludon and Orbeetle. For the Steel Dragon, we opted for him to represent Watts' dangerous creations like the Black Queen Virus, Tyrion's new Stinger, and the original Paladins. You can say Duraludon's Gigantamax form looks a lot like many of the imposing skyscrapers in Watts' old stomping grounds. As for Orbeetle, this sci-fi bug can represent Arthur's incredible intelligence, as well as the fact he's using it for diabolical means, with the little guy having quite the evil genius design. As for why it's a shiny, more on that in a bit.
For the actual muscle of Salem's Lot, Hazel Reinhardt is next. Naturally, in the last video, we gave Hazel a lot of super tough brawlers, and the Galar region offered two more rowdy rumblers, the first being Galarian Darmanitan. Now, yes, the combination of the gentle-ish giant and a living snowman does look odd on the surface, but much like the big guy himself, once that gentle disposition melts away, what's left is a raging hothead. That's where Hazel's second pick comes in as well, the punk powerhouse Obstagoon, which has the physicality to take on almost any foe, and perhaps an equally booming voice when screaming out a particular name. Obstagoon! Obstagoon! Obstagoon!
From one buff boy to the next, there's Garrett Belladonna, who, despite having retired from fighting on the front lines of battle, sure did show he's still got incredible beastly strength as shown when defending his home in Volume 5. So for that, he gets a Berserker, the Viking-inspired feline that embodies a similar ferocity, or should I say ferocity.
I get it! It sucks, but I get it!
Whatever, pun master, your turn.
While my partner goes off to pout, let's shine a light on, thankfully, another ex-White Fang member, Ilya, who obviously needs to have an Inteleon. I mean, let's just check off the list. Reptile? Check. Spy? Check. Long-range weapon? Check. Get these two a vodka martini, shaken, not stirred, and you got the perfect stealthy secret agent duo. Maybe throw in a Pincushion as well, to represent Ilya's shocking lightning lash with its electric pointed tip. I mean, a paralyzing spiked Pincushion does sound like a strange James Bond gadget, doesn't it? Sure beats the bagpipe flamethrower. And yes, that is an actual thing.
Alright, I'm back. Now that I've cooled off, it's time to talk about Flint.
Cole?
Shut it. Anyway, for the first new inclusion to the Jazzman's band, we could honestly pick any of the Roly-Coly line, as the little rolling rock and its evolutions, Carcoal and Colossal, play off Flint's last name and can harken to his dad's dust shop, with them being integral to Galar's own mineral refinery. Then bringing things back to the music, we can see Flint recruit a low-key form Toxtricity to mix jazz with a bit of bass guitar. In fact, let's make it a duet. If Flint has the Toxtricity to fill the chill of his personality and music taste, then surely his partner Neon should have the ant form to collab some high-energy electric guitar with the bubbly skater girl's J-pop flair.
Now, while this next character isn't as spirited as Neon, it's easy to say that Maria is quite spunky despite her age, so it wouldn't be a surprise to see her still traveling the world of Pokemon even at her age, perhaps even with an Eldegoss by her side. The Galar grass type whose sagely design can make you think of other wise elders, like Maria, who share their wisdom with the next generation. And speaking of the next generation, and learning from others, we agree that everyone's favourite farm boy Oscar should get a Dreepy. the fledgling ghost dragon that in its Shield Pokédex entry is said to grow stronger thanks to the support of its friends. Let's hope that by the time Oscar finishes his growth with the help of RWBY and company, he isn't too similar to RWBY and starts launching kids once he reaches his full potential. Then again, he is bonded with Ozpin. Moving on.
Now we gotta talk about the Pokemon we've been wanting to pair with Raven Bronwyn since the original collab, but we couldn't since the games weren't released yet. Of course, I'm talking about the literal Raven Pokemon, Korbinite. Not only is this Pokemon rather intimidating to look at, I mean look at it! It's huge! But as seen in the awesome Twilight Wings series, it's also a handy means of transportation as Galar's flying taxis, which could tie into Raven's portals since both help someone get to their destination faster. And from bandit to businessman, there's Jackass Jacques Schnee, who we decided to give a Galarian Weezing to. Now this may sound like an odd pairing considering the Sword Pokédex entry says it purifies pollution, whereas Jacques is hardly as sane with the damage his company creates. But the Shield Pokédex entry describes this Weezing's new look being a result of too much pollution. And I mean, just by looking at the creature, the only person who would be a more fitting trainer than Jacques would be Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimmadale Dimmadome.
Dropping down a level from Master the Servant, we have the charming butler, Klein Sieben. Obvious one first is a male indeedy, the supportive satyr who is obviously inspired by the dutiful profession that Mr. Sieben, sadly, no longer has for the Schnee household. But during his time there, not only was he one hell of a butler, he was also a great source of kindness and comfort to Weiss, so perhaps he would also have the colourful comedian Mr. Rhyme to help in his efforts to make sure that Weiss still found time to smile.
For this next entry, I'm not even going to try and attempt to do a British accent for the sake of my partner.
Cheers, love.
Because now we're talking about the killer croc named Talk, who has a pair of Pokemon that, much like their trainer, have some deadly chompers to use on their prey, Dreadnought and Aeroscuda. Though going one step further with the fiendish fish, perhaps its Shield Pokédex entry that makes note of it being vulnerable after devouring its kill could tie into Talk being vulnerable herself once the times ran out on her invulnerability semblance.
Finally, the last of the previously explored characters, the pettiest of petty gods, the brothers, God of Light and God of Darkness. Last time out, we fairly broke the no legendary rule by giving these two the Pokemon world equivalent of Godly Light and Hellish Darkness. And now we're breaking that rule again, since there's another legendary pair that perhaps are even a better fit, that being the Kalos region's Xerneas and Yveltal. One is another life-giving deity with many horns and a mystical tree to call home, and the other is the living embodiment of population extinguishing destruction.
And now we move on to what you all been waiting for. What Pokemon goes with characters that made their debut in the latest volume? And of course, we had to start with Atlas Academy's finest, the Ace Operatives. Starting with the charismatic leader, Clover Ebby. Now despite the fact Galar was based on the UK, we're sadly still lacking a leprechaun-like, or at the very least a Clover-like Pokemon for his namesake. I mean, come on, Grass Fury, perfect type option right there. That means we had to look elsewhere for a luck-oriented pick for Clover's first and probable ace Pokemon, which led us to Bunnelby, the nimble critter who hopefully isn't where Clover got his lucky rabbit foot accessory from. I mean, we could have also gone for a Melon Pheasant, since one of its abilities is straight up called Super Luck. But at least he's still on the team as is Barraskewda, since we couldn't resist using Clover's fishing rod, Kingfisher, to cast a line out and catch us the newest fish Pokemon.
Next up, it's the second best bun behind My Girl Velvet, the spunky speedster, RWBY. And if each Aesop has a standout Pokemon leading their pack, then clearly Harriet has to have a Cinderace. Not only is it rivaling Cyndaquil as my favourite starter, with it being a fireball kicking footballing rabbit, yes, football, not soccer, you heathens, but it's also rivaling Harriet in being one hell of a super fast cottontail. Another speed demon that, thanks to its hidden ability, can also represent Harriet's competitive nature is Boltund. Plus there's also the whole greyhounds chasing fake hares and competitive racing element too. Finally, there's Metang, who, as the two-limbed Iron Claw Pokemon, can act as Harriet's strength akin to her bare knuckles. The weapon, not her actual bare knuckles.
Next up is the youth of the team, Mero Amon, who, for his ace Pokemon, we went with Midday Lycanroc, the Alolan Wolf Pokemon that's described in its Moon Pokedex entry as a loyal ally trained from a young age, though perhaps not as extreme to its cause, like its rabid Midnight form and Calm Dusk form, which could reflect on Mero's wavering stance when the Ace Ops clashed with Team RWBY. We also decided he has to have a Marowak, even though we've used every option of that line before already. I mean, can you blame us? He's the only Pokemon with the move Bonemerang, which we can tie into Mero's weapon, Fetch. And his name is literally Marowak. And before we move on, we need to stay and give him a Pokemon that embodies his semblance. Thus, Galarian Stunfisk, a Pokemon based on a bear trap of all things that's designed to keep you in place.
From young lad to the one that bellowed out about the enthusiasm of youth, Elm Aderne, the muscle of the Aesops who, surprise surprise, is getting a Beware as her first pick. Though I don't know who I'm more afraid to get a bear hug from, the innocent looking Pokemon or its equally sweet trainer. Elm's not only just incredibly strong by herself though, she's also got her hammer/rocket launcher, Timber, and her handy root semblance, allowing her to dish out even more explosive power. And since those two elements work brilliantly together, we think that the tree-inspired giant getting a Trevenant makes sense given the tree root aspect, as well as its moveset containing the likes of Woodhammer and Energy Ball. And finally, to reference Elm's iconic feat of grappling a Mega Goliath into the air, she also gets a Grapploct, a Pokemon that despite being mostly found in the water and the several water moves in its arsenal, plus the fact that it's a freaking octopus, is somehow not a fighting water type. Flippin' hell, Game Freak, what is it with you guys and strange typing decisions?
It's usually me getting the heated moments. Guess that means I have to be like Vine Zeki and act as the voice of calm for a change. Perhaps on his journey, Vine might take a moment to meditate alongside his fellow monk-inspired partner, a shiny Medicham, before heading into his next battle. And while Medicham is surely no slouch when it comes to combat, perhaps Vine's more offensive-capable Pokemon would be the Psychic Whiz Alakazam. At least we've seen Alakazam use his weapons, even though they're spoons. Vine! And to top it off, there's Tangrowth, the Vine Pokemon that can make you think of Mr. Zeki's stretchy arm semblance with his own extendable limbs.
Okay, I'm fine. Right, let's go from the law enforcement to vigilantes with the Happy Huntress. Still not a fan of that name.
Stay calm, Dan.
I am calm! What? I am! What the? Oh, right. This is the Robin Hill bit. Right. Anyway, the sharp-witted leader of the Mantle Rebels has two Pokemon in her lineup. The first being Fletchling, the Pokemon based on the same bird as Robin, and the other being Espeon, the Psychic Evolution, making its second appearance in these videos thanks to its Pokédex entries highlighting its ability to read people's thoughts before deeming them trustworthy. This is pretty much the closest connection that we could get to the truth-detecting semblance of Mantle's local hero. Oh come on, that one wasn't even a lie!
Couldn't resist. As for the rest of the Happy Huntresses, they each get one Pokemon as we didn't spend too much time with them, but at least long enough to give them one fitting partner. There's their soft-spoken Joanna that has the equally intimidating Pangoro, then May counting on Reuniclus's psychic trickery to work alongside her invisibility field semblance. And finally, the fan-favorite Fiona gets the equally fan-favorite Pokemon of Galar, the adorable ball of fluff, Wooloo. It's so fluffy!
Coming into the home stretch now with the first new face of Volume 7. Well, technically Drunkman was the first one we met, but regardless, I'm talking about Pietro Polydina. Now, earlier, we gave the man that was once Pietro's colleague, Arthur Watts, a shiny orbital, with its dark purple color scheme representing the Mad Doctor's twisted technological creations. So now we're giving Penny's Popper the normal red-colored orbital to act as the more pure-hearted Beetleborg, befitting Pietro's more noble ambitions and the kind-hearted daughter that he is deeply bonded with.
Then from one relative to another, we have the tragic Willow Schnee, who first has the timid Snom for company matching the Schnee matriarch's unfortunate fragile reclusive nature before finally help kick Jacques to the curb, as well as Spinda, whose dizzy, almost drunk-like movements will forever be the closest we can get to picking a Pokemon that can represent alcoholism. Nintendo! Fun for all ages!
And last but by no means least, we have the dearly departed Winter Maiden, Freya. Though her time with us was very short, she made quite the impression with one of the biggest examples of the power of seasonal maidens, complete with an icy tornado. So for that, and to tie into how the powers were originally supposed to be pure and good, Freya gets a Frost Moth, the graceful snowy moth that mixes beauty with merciless force.
Thank you guys so much for watching this bonus video. If you haven't already, go check out the other RWBY Pokemon pairing videos Dan and I have done. Links to those will be in the description.
Cheers again to Amber, always a blast working on these videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this as well, and if you like more of this British goof, you can hit me up on my channel, That Kaito Dan, for more RWBY goodness, reactions, reviews, and much more. And please hit the subscribe and bell buttons for the both of us, and tick the notification boxes to get both our videos as they drop.
So what do you guys think? Do you agree with our choices? Or do you think there are other Pokemon that fit these characters better? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you'd like for me to do these kind of videos and more, let's get this video up to 2,000 likes, and what Pokemon pairings would you want me to do?
So remember to stay awesome, be nice to animals, don't be dicks.
Have a good day or good night, and remember,
Gotta catch 'em all and keep moving forward.